OCO, what's up, beautiful souls? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Mamina. You can call me Mina for short, or Divine Starseed. This is a message for the collective. We're focusing on what is the biggest change coming to you within this year. And I'm feeling moved for you guys to count your first month in August, not whenever your new year actually starts. So from August, and I'm filming this in July, count it from there. Now this message is timeless, so whenever you see it, it's meant for you, but I am also getting a specific time frame, so I'm pointing it out here for those who come across it within that time frame. Regardless of when you find this, Capricorn season is of significance. So whenever you come across it, it could be 3 years from now, know the Capricorn season is significant for the messages that come through. I was led to a tarot deck that is very feminine but very moody and a bit on the dark side, like a moody dark kind of energy. It's not super dark, but enough. So what that says to me is, be you man or woman, masculine, feminine energy, you have to tap into the more shadow side of your feminine energy. Now around here, shadow has different definitions, but we're going to see how it explains itself in this message. I do feel like it's a lot of self-discovery and a lot of reflection. Without further ado, loves, let's get into the message. Remember that this is for the collective, so only take what resonates to and for you. Leave what doesn't. And if you like the mood around here, if you enjoy the messages, do subscribe, like, comment, share. It supports the channel and it keeps me being able to deliver you these channeled messages. Let's jump right on in. The energy in the space is already set. What is coming to this collective? What's the biggest change coming to this collective within a year? We have the Four of Swords in reverse. And the Eight of Wands in reverse. Let's tilt this downward here, shall we? Off the bat, I said it's going to be a lot of self-reflection, right? We have the Hermit here, right here in the center, taking center stage. With the Four of Swords in reverse, I feel like a lot of you haven't really been able to get the rest that you need. You've been burning yourself out. And one of the biggest changes coming is learning how to put yourself first. You haven't been doing that. And if you thought you were doing it in ways that one would consider to be counterproductive. Kind of like, think of it like a workout, right? And you know how in a workout you're supposed to pace yourself. You're supposed to know, okay, here's my limit. Here's the part that I can surpass. Here's where I might need to practice this particular routine over and over until I can advance to the next level. It's more like some of you will start at level 1 and want to jump to 3. Oh, I mastered 1, 2's a piece of cake. I'm gonna just hop on over to 3. And then you exhaust yourself. You give yourself a mental fatigue or physical fatigue. It's hard to focus. It's hard to think because, quite frankly, you're burning yourself out. You're burning yourself out. There's a need to refocus, recalibrate these energies, realign them so that we can actually have this meditative state in the upright position. Now, I'm not channeling this reverse Four of Swords more so like oh, you went through the meditative energy and so now you're just ready to go out in the world. No, the reverse is coming through more like you weren't getting the rest. You actually were burning yourself out. And yet you thought you weren't. You thought that the way you were going about this mental acrobats that you called yourself doing was making sense, but it was just adding more fatigue and it was just taking away more time. Somebody might have felt like they had to rush. Like, I gotta get it done, or I have to reach this next level within this amount of time, and Spirit's letting you know, chill out. Chill out. Enter a state of stillness. And stillness doesn't mean necessarily being completely without any motion. I always have to point this out because a lot of times, you know, we'll say be still, and there's so much information out there that makes you think that your brain isn't going to think of nothing. And yes, it's cool to enter a state where you can get your mind to actually think of nothing, because thoughts can be, you know, over the top sometimes. But there's still energy moving through your body. There's still blood pumping through your system. There's still some type of motion happening even when you're sitting still. And what you're learning to do is you're learning to be still in one aspect of self so that you can tap into those other streams, into those other flows. You can be more receptive. Someone here needs to be more receptive. And there's a lot of inner work taking place in order to do that. Now, notice I said I felt like we should really start this off in the August time frame. And then what follows after that, that's September, Virgo energy. End of August, September is Virgo energy. There's something you need to be more practical with. You actually have to listen to your gut instinct here. You might also need to pay attention to how you're caring for your gut. So what you're eating, what are you digesting? Are you digesting well? Work with your digestive system. Someone here really needs to do that. It is a part of your mental healing as well, because your gut is your fourth brain. So everything that you put into it and how it properly digests or not contributes, if not to a mental state, then to the physical fatigue that you may be feeling. But someone knows that they could be doing better than what they're currently doing right now. And you're like, I don't get why I'm not doing better. It returns to here. It returns to rest. All right. Now, a part of what's coming to you is being able to take an idea or maybe a move. I don't know why I'm hearing it as a move, but I'm hearing it like a move. Taking a form of action that you tried to take before. It didn't quite work out. You didn't know why it didn't work out. For all purposes, you felt that it should have. Now, the lazy way would be just to say, divine timing. It just was the wrong timing. But I feel like it's more to it than that. There's something you missed. By trying so hard, you overdid it. And for others, by not giving it your all, you undermined it yourself. Now it's time for you to stand back in that purpose and receive that opportunity again, and this time actually know how to get the wheel to properly turn. The interesting thing about the Page of Pentacles here for you is it's representing you being the person that's able to achieve the goal. You're the person that's able to take the opportunity, learn it to its fullest, know it to its fullest, and then be able to present it. You're the star pupil who becomes the teacher, who becomes the master, if you would. But you have to take the time to do that. You have to put in the necessary work for that. If the word work bugs you, right, then think of it more so like I'm hearing a gentle process, like someone needs to be more gentle with themselves and how they process their current events and the current energies that you're trying to support here. Whatever the business proposal is, whatever the relationship issue was, what actually needs to work out and what's really for you is opening up. The doorway is opening up for that again. If it's love, it's more than likely a whole new person. I tell y'all quick around here, your ex ain't your next, and 95% of the time, okay? So whether it's love, I'm feeling again that it has more to do with personal growth, personal spirituality. The opportunity, it's here, and it's saying grab hold, study, learn this. How can you maneuver and move in this energy to your fullest capacity without tiring yourself out? So meditation is going to be really big within this year for a lot of you. Learning how to meditate. And I feel like you're going to go through different phases of your meditation. For some of you, you might be able to tap right on into stillness. You just needed to actually sit your behind down. For others, you might need to do movement meditation. I've mentioned this before, where you find some type of, not something that makes you breathe too hard, but it changes you softly from position to position, like Tai Chi, something of that nature, where your body is being fluent. It could be dance. It could be, think about how ballet dancers move, right? When they're moving, sometimes it's not always about the dynamic movements right away. It's the subtle ones and how they can build upon the subtle ones and then build up strength from the subtle ones, build up flexibility. You need to be more flexible. So again, I do feel like there's a need to work with the body. There's a need to work with the digestive system and to get the body more limber. The more loose and limber your muscles are, while also still being strong enough to support you, you'll see that reflecting your life. You'll see your mind can think more clearly about stuff that you need to do. And whatever that so-called failed idea or attempt was, you'll be able to see it from a whole new light. And if it was something that just really wasn't meant for you, you'll peep that and go, okay, there was still a lesson I was supposed to gain from that in order to help me with my next venture, so that my next venture is the success. And again, if you were lacking, you undermined it yourself. If you were just over the top and I'm going to just work, you overworked yourself. I do feel like somebody had a big crash, like a big burnout. All right, Spirit keeps pointing it out. Now we get here. we get to the Knight of Wands. The interesting thing about the Knight of Wands is once the Knight of Wands has made up their mind about the goal, whatever that may be, they're going for a full blaze. There's no holding back. But notice that this Knight of Wands is in a passionate meditative state, eyes closed and just seeming to be listening. It's almost like this character is listening for the fire off or the sound off to know that they can full speed ahead. There's this process right now within this year, probably around that August time frame, where some of you are going to find yourself not waiting for someone, but pacing yourself and just listening out for when Spirit says move, go. Because once Spirit says go, you're going to go full throttle. You're not stopping for anyone. Okay, because this is definitely full speed ahead. Run. Like I always say, the Knight of Wands, if they're going, just get out the way. They're not like swords. They're not going to try and leap over you. They're not going to try and go around you or anything like that. It's just full speed ahead. If you get burnt, that's on you. They leave skid marks at the end of the day. So Spirit's going to give you this sign of when you need to go, and then you're going to have to go. But for right now, moving too swiftly, too fast is not the option. It's taking your time and paying attention. Notice that she's looking towards the sky, right? Like she's waiting for these birds or these wands to give her the signal she needs that, okay, now I too can progress forward. I feel like the reverse energies are slowly, not as quickly as I did it, but imagine that they're slowly starting to turn themselves into the upright position for you. So a big part of what's coming for you within this year is spiritual growth, opportunities fully being taken advantage of, as you should have the first time, but this time knowing the pace that you need to have to do it. If you were moving too fast, you slow down just a tad. If you were moving too slow, you speed up just a tad. You match the pace for what's necessary. You're going to learn to tap in more and listen to the signs and synchronicities around you so that you actually feel when it's time to do something. Not just ponder it, think it, be indecisive, but feel it in your bones. Like, I know in my bones I need to do this right now. And you'll act upon it without much stress, without having to do over the top effort. All right. Let's get into the Fortune Cookie Oracle by V from V Love and Tarot. Keep looking at from August on what's coming to you within this year. So it's pretty much the remainder of this year into 2024. Look at that. It's time to stop hiding. It's time to put yourself out there more, but again, progress into that. It's not saying that you shouldn't take a leap of faith, but before you might have put like all your eggs in one basket. And yet, you didn't necessarily make sure that was the best basket that you put it in. Maybe it was the right idea. It was heading in the right direction. You know, it was going to be taken to the right town, but it was the wrong basket for the job. So those eggs fell. They just fell. It was too much, and they fell through, and they just some of them smashed up all on the ground. That's kind of how some of you feel about whatever it was you were working on. Now it's your opportunity to make sure that you have the right basket, even if that means making that basket from scratch and not being necessarily dependent upon one that would have been readily available. Okay. You might be finding that like there are things around you that are making you feel a bit ill as you try to work or as you try to get stuff done. And Spirit's saying that there's a way to push through all of that. We have your finances will improve because the opportunity is coming in. Something that you can start making or earning a living on as you learn the task. This could be somebody getting a job somewhere where it's like maybe you didn't have training in that before, but they do training on the job, or you had some training, but they help you to advance in it. Before, when you went to go do it, you know, there was something missing. This can also be someone returning back to school. Like you're going back to school and you already have a certain amount of knowledge that you retained. You just need to pay better attention to pick up the rest or learn it in your way. Write the notes the way it makes sense to you. If it was one thing that bugged me about school, it was how they would conform everyone. And sometimes for some of us, that actually was counterproductive and it made us learn shit harder. Write the notes down. I don't know who you are who needs to hear this, the way that it makes sense to you. Do the math problem the way it makes sense to you. If it gets you the same dang answer, put it in your notes that way to help your brain process it. Because I feel like somebody might have felt really pressured. Maybe somebody was like in lit. You took lit in class, and it was maybe something about the way the teacher did the notes or wrote things on the board that just confused the hell out of you, and you're like, I don't know what that is, or something about that. Okay, don't be afraid to I mean, it's your notebook, right? It's what you're going to be referencing at the end of the day. Stay grounded. All right, stay grounded. Again, you don't want to move too swiftly right now. You want to pay attention to the signs, and you might find that in some areas spirit might go, okay, move, and then you'll move to that spot, and you may have to sit in that spot for a minute. Okay, meditate here. You go to that place, you meditate, and you have to meditate in that energy for a second, or meditate on that topic for a while. You know how like some of us our multifaceted mind does multifaceted things. Well, you might have a multifaceted mind, but you might be trying to focus on too many things at once. So this is Spirit's way of saying, I'm going to teach you how to gradient into each thing that you need to do by starting you off where you most need the help now. And right now, it's something spiritual, it's something practical that can help you get grounded, that are grounded in these energies. Bottom of the deck, we have freedom awaits. Okay. Now we're going to get into Celeste Rose by Celeste Simone Tarot. We have results. I feel like results are inevitable because activation is here. You explain the whole reading and what I've been picking up thus far, right? So the results are inevitable. The results will come. The results will come as you do the work, and sometimes a little bit after you've started the work. Don't get hung up on being too stiff with yourself. Remember what I said about being, limber, move the body, cleanse out the gut, get yourself digest better. I feel like your digestive system is also tied into how you may digest thoughts. And again, there could be something around you that makes you feel a bit sick that you need to purge and or get away from. And if you're kind of like stuck, you can't get away from it right away, then Spirit's trying to open up pathways for you to have other means to maneuver so that you can raise the vibration to where you need to be, and then get out of whatever that distraction is. For example, in my area, it's like out of nowhere, everybody who's anybody just all started smoking, and whatever they're smoking is not what you would think it is, because it smells very chemically, not herbally. It smells very chemical, and it can tend to make me nauseous. It can tend to be just distracting, like it gives me a headache. So even now I'm smelling it, and that's why I'm kind of like stumbling a bit more or trying to get my word out. It's like I know what I'm trying to say, but I'm stumbling to get it out because there's this sickly distraction, and I don't know which house it's coming from to even like really report it. So you might be dealing with something like that. If it's not a weird smell, then it could just be, maybe it's like neighbors who yell a lot or something, and it's hard to think because they're always loud. And it's like Spirit is saying, okay, do you have a basement? Go in the basement. Do you have this? Go there. Okay, do you need to actually get in your car? Go in your car. There's a park. There's a someplace. Right now, you may have to put an effort to go to it, but there is a place, there is a space, there's a way. Or you can just sit and say, you know what, I got work to do, I'm gonna get my work done. The payoff will be there when the payoff is there, because the results are inevitable, right? This is a time of activation. So within this year, there's a lot of, I feel like, shadow work and activation that's coming for you. Maybe three months or so of shadow work, and then as it progresses forward, you'll notice instantly a lot of the activation, but it goes into hyperdrive after that, because remember that 8 of Wands is in reverse, and then it starts to speed up, it starts to pick up momentum. And I'm saying this from a channel perspective, intuitive perspective. We're not just holding the cards hostage to one meaning here. At the end of the day, this is all energy, and energy is more fluent than just a one definition. Okay, but you will see results. And also look at how on the results cards it looks like shooting stars or like shooting meteors. Let's get one more. we have soulmates. Okay, now you guys know here on my channel I break down these very differently for the way that the energies channel. And normally soulmates are a path-driven connection. Soul family, soul tribe are also a mix between path and mission driven, depending on how they come in your life. With this soulmates card, I'm not just getting possible relationships that come in and the bond that can create, but more so people who are just like a part of your soul tribe. They naturally support what you do. They're like, it's like you're building a little community in a sense, or you build a little group. So if this is a work atmosphere, it could be building a group there or a team that you work really well with. If you're an entrepreneur, same thing. You find people or resources that really are beneficial to you. And it's more soul tribe, so they're not people that you may talk to too much outside of a particular thing, but they're still healthy for you. They're still good. Pay attention to it because it's going to feel healthy. If something doesn't feel healthy, if it doesn't feel like it's conducive to your well-being, it's not soul tribe, it's some other ish, right? And for those of you where it's a soulmate in the sense of a counterpart, as you're doing this soul activation, you may not be looking for love right now, but it's going to find you. Point blank in the period. You may not be looking for it, but it will find you. It will seek you out because you'll be in the mentalities, I didn't want to cover that, but you'll be in the mentalities necessary to accept it, to accept the bond. And it's a very path driven connection that I'm channeling here. So it's like that's a part of you knowing that you've aligned more with your path. Is this will be just one of the many symptoms and many things that'll pop up. It'll pop up in groups of people first. You might also find that you're connecting more so with your soul family, people who, whether they are or aren't blood to you, it's like you've always known them, and their support goes beyond anything you might have felt before, especially if you're not used to the dynamic already. They'll come in, they'll be honest with you, they'll be genuine with you. If you're on some ish, they're gonna say, hey, you on some bull, right? But at the same time, when you're doing something amazing, they'll say, listen, this is a great idea, and they'll probably push you. Remember, soul family, soul tribe, and even soulmates will push you to be great. And I'm not saying push you to the point they push you off an edge, but they're not going to just let you lay there and like waste away your talent. They're also not going to let you just be like, I'm going until you burn yourself out. They're going to always be that person who comes in and in a sense kind of checks you when you need to get checked. Okay, don't put them in a category of being yes men and yes women, because that's not what they are. All right, now we're going to get into, I believe this is the inner child oracle, but we're looking at it from a more general perspective. Inner child messages may come through as well. And this is by Mystic Star Magic. We already got one that flew off. We have continue to build, continue to grow. Okay? You never stop. The results will continue, the activation will continue, and divine counterpart along with divine friendships and family connections will grow from there. Remember, family doesn't have to be restricted to just blood. Within this year, you might find yourself meeting whole new people in areas you never thought possible. Whether it's because you're online and you start making more friends overseas, something about you entering a space and it's like everybody in that space is just a good energy, it's a good vibe. I feel like Spirit is telling you, speak this into your life more, live this in your life more. Start treating yourself how you want to be treated by other people. If you don't want people to treat you like you're somebody to just burn out all the time, or you're somebody to just neglect, then don't neglect yourself. And while it's honestly, it's not that it's hard, it's that we've been trained to believe it's hard. I mean, think about that. You've been trained throughout life to believe that it's harder to take care of yourself than there is to neglect yourself. You've been taught to think it's harder to be kind than it is to be cruel, when the reality is you're born from the ultimate energy of love. It doesn't matter what your parents went through. It don't matter what they were talking about, right? That only matters for as far as how it may inflict your life as you grow up. But as far as like when you were just a soul coming into existence, you were already a part of a main source that has an abundant amount of love, never runs out of love, never runs out of self-love, love of others, love of space, love of energy. And you have that same energy within yourself. You just need to understand when to direct it and when not to, who deserves the grace of it and who may not. And it doesn't mean that person has to be the worst in the world or that you have to wish bad on them. It just means that you understand that your energy is not compatible with theirs. And so you act and move accordingly. You don't go out your way to make them feel miserable. You don't go out your way to sit up under them so they can make you feel miserable and justify a point of how you think they ain't ish. You leave it alone and you progress forward. You're going through the kind of activation where you're going to look in the mirror and there's parts of yourself that you won't recognize anymore, because you'll see that you've shedded away a lot of the parts of you that were in the fog. If you notice in that Hermit card, one of the things about that particular one is it's very foggy. Like you can't see anything around her in that card. And she only has this lantern, her star, her inner light, her personal sun that's leading her path, leading her way through that fog. Because if she tries to look in any other direction, she's only going to see this smoky energy. That's kind of how some of you were living. And within this year, that's what you're coming out of. You're coming out of that reclusive state. You're entering into a higher dimensional version of yourself. And with that comes all of the benefits. Most of this is applied to business for some of you. For others, relationships. But however, it's still you progressing. Okay? Be in a more playful energy, because some of you have been lacking that. And I know y'all like to make excuses. Oh, well, I'm working on becoming a millionaire, or blah, 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 blah. Let me tell you something. The millionaires play all damn day. Don't let these magazine interviews fool you. They play all day. That's why they buy all the fancy little equipment that they want. All day long. Somebody could call in the office on Monday and say, I ain't coming in for 2 months. Put so-and-so on the task. And the most they'll do is call in to check to make sure nobody's burnt down the building. They're going to enjoy their life. Right? You have to start enjoying your life. What you want to work on and what you want to do also has to be something you enjoy. The Page of Pentacles enjoys what they do. They enjoy the opportunity given to them. They love being able to take hold of it and mold it into something else. That's like the dopest thing ever to them. So Spirit is telling you, play more. That's a part of your activation, is to be in this more energetic. That's why they're probably trying to get you to get out somewhere. You know, if it's too loud where you are, if it's too noisy where you are, that might be why. Spirit's like, I get that these people are crazy, but also this becomes a great excuse for you to get out and explore the world that you otherwise close yourself off from. Okay? You can get grounded in the outdoors. And look at that. We have allow. And notice the kite is just flying. Allow yourself to fly. You might find yourself much like a kite. The kite is in the air, but it kind of hovers around. It lets the wind blow it where it's got to go. And sometimes the person that's controlling the kite can kind of get it to do a little fancy thing here and there. But for the most part, the kite is just enjoying its time up there in the wind, free. Right? I'm more so feeling like you're a mix between the kite and the person controlling the kite. Right? Like you're in both positions here. We're going to get a quick time frame just to see if there was a time before of significance, or if there's more time within this year that's of significance. I'll translate it as need be, and then we'll close this off. I'm getting a lot of cards that like falling off to the side, a lot of strays, if you would. We have in good timing. So remember what we said before about timing being of significance, right? And then we have in the near future, your results, your success, this soulmate energy, aka soul tribe, soul family energy. It's all within the near future. It's all happening. It's all a continuation of something that you thought was on pause, or something that you might have also thought that you lost. You just needed to recollect yourself, get out of that burnt out energy. All right. You needed to make sure that you weren't moving too fast. Take time so that by the time speed picks up, you can handle it. You're not overwhelmed by it. You needed to realize the opportunity was never really lost. You just had to re-tap in, and that you are the light in the fog of your own darkness. You can see your way out. So it's a little bit of, like I said, shadow work, just a little bit. Shadow work means different things for different people. Okay, I translated it here for what it means for this collective here. Take the parts that are for you, leave the parts that aren't. 2929 I just saw on the clock, and that is your message. Peace, love, and light, beautiful soul. If you enjoy the vibe around here, be sure to subscribe, and of course, check out my oracle decks. See you next time.